Down into this site, it's got 151 rooms. It's the largest cliff dwelling we have in Mesa Verde. It might be the largest in North America. We haven't found one bigger yet. When we leave the site, which we'll do in about an hour, we'd really like it if there were still 151 rooms there. So please help us out. Please don't sit on, stand on, lean on, or climb on any of the walls. That will destroy them. Also, please remember Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will. Which is why we ask that you only bring water, plus flavored drinks, food. Okay. Now that being said, after we safely make it down the steps, we're going to walk under the overlook on a paved path. We're going to climb an 8-foot ladder that will put us into the site. There's going to be a wait for ranger here sign. I'm going to want everybody to go just past it, not down the steps into the site yet. But there's going to be a little cave-like alcove on the left side, so please have a seat in that area. That's the first of the 3 stops. After the third and final, we will leave the site. To leave the site, we will climb up some steps, and we will find an 8-foot ladder. At the top of the 8-foot ladder, there's a landing and a 6-foot ladder. At the top of that 6-foot ladder, there's a landing. Anybody want to guess what follows that second landing? Another ladder! This one's 10 feet long. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, first off, some people don't like heights. We will be climbing some. I want you to realize you are not alone. Don't like heights.
What are you doing here?
Overcoming the fear. You see, when I started this job 5 summers ago, I was terrified of it. Now I just don't like it. But you know, if I can survive this for 5 summers, I think you can survive this for 1 tour. Okay? I think you're going to be okay. Second and more important than your comfort is your safety. I want you to think about your ankles, your knees, your hips, your back, your lungs, and your heart. If they are not working the way they should on a good day under normal circumstances, please ask yourself, am I under normal circumstances? The answer is no. You might want to reconsider. If you are undergoing preventative maintenance, like you had a knee replacement yesterday, I don't think I'd recommend.
Don't worry, it's short, Kristen.
And don't get panicked, Kristen. If that guy's got fear of heights and he did it, so you could do it too.
That's subjective. You were questioning the ladders? What?
Yeah. Oh, okay, great. Because I thought they didn't point it out.
What do you see?
There's ruins over there.
Oh yeah, up on top. Oh. Cool. That must be the storage. Remember the?
Huh? They didn't even point it out.
Let's go on.
Oh boy. Just 2 hands on it, please.
Dad, it's impossible to do a ladder with 1 hand.
And look, little kids are doing it, right?
Put that camera away.
Look at. I will. I won't do it with them. Just think if I was at the top, I could have got an approach shot.
Go like this.
Really?
Just think if I was at the top, I could have got an approach shot.
Sure, you should put it on.
Yeah, wait, yeah. Kristen, how was it? David, how was it? David, huh? Scary?
Oh, it's really hot.
It is?
Okay. Quite cool.
That one's fun. That was cool.
Yeah, they are. Well, this one's
No, here's the
Kristen, where are you doing? Kristen?
Oh, I'm sitting. I thought he said he was not
First
going to
door on
be
the
the
left.
last one to go through the gate.
We have a couple, like, you can use these 2 areas as steps really quick to get up. You know about. Back in the 30s, we had an estimate of 217 rooms. I don't know what happened to 66 of them. I guess we took a map and then we're no longer sure about that one. No evidence for that one or that one or that one, and we just started marking off the ones that we weren't certain about. When we look at it, we say 151 rooms, probably housing about, by some estimates, 100 to 120 people. and by others, 80 to 90. Why the difference? Because we look at the rooms and we say, okay, one fire pit, one family, 3 to 5 people. That gives us the big number. But what happens if their average family size isn't 3 to 5? What happens if it's only 3? Then we're giving them 2 extra people. And also, here's another problem. Is anybody here from a town where every single house is actually occupied right now? Doesn't really happen, does it? Why would it happen here then? Especially when some of the living rooms down here are already 50 years old by the time some of the living rooms down there are built. 50 years is a long time for a room to keep one use. People change the rooms to fit what they need. We still do that today. In my home in North Carolina, we had a very nice dining room. Till my brothers or me, I don't remember who did it, but Mom, where can I put this? Oh, just put it on the dining room table. We now have a very nice storage room that has a dining room table somewhere in it under everything else. We still change the use of rooms depending on what we need. So that's why we now have the estimate of 80 to 90 people in there, because we're finally figuring out, oh yeah, not every room's gonna be living at the same time. House was under a lava flow. Yeah, I can buy that argument, can't you? You see, people and lava don't mix. That's well established. So you see, when you have a lava flow, when you have a small or a non-existent deserted island, and when you've got an 800-year-old census, it's very easy to tell how many people were living there. But folks, we don't have any of that for Cliff Palace. We have a site that's got about 151 rooms. We have a site that has about 1/5 of the rooms as living, because about 1 out of every 5 has a fire pit in it. The other 4 out of 5 are storage from the very beginning, including those rooms up on the ledge. These people are storing a lot of stuff. They're storing their food for this year. Corn, beans, squash. They're storing their food for next year in case the crops don't grow. They're storing the seeds so that they can plant after the winter. They're storing tools, clothing. You know, one of the neatest things I think we found in the storage was a piece of yucca rope. Anybody know how long that piece of yucca rope was? Anybody want to guess?
40 feet.
No, think bigger. This is the longest piece of yucca rope found at Mesa Verde. Think much bigger. Much bigger. Think much bigger yet again. Try something on the order of 1,300 feet for one piece of rope. Good guess, but think bigger. Folks, 1,300 feet. The longest fiber in it is that long or so. That's a lot of yucca, isn't it?
Yeah.
But more importantly, that's a lot of time. You see, we used to love killing our visitors. These people were struggling to survive. But quite frankly, if you got time to make a 1,300 foot long piece of yucca rope, if you have time to paint the pottery, and if you've got time to make a site like Cliff Palace, which has 151 rooms in it made out of shaped sandstone blocks, I don't think you're struggling all that much. These people were doing very well for themselves because they picked good farmland. You see, Mesa Verde is wrong. Mesa Verde means green table, and tables are supposed to be flat, but this one slopes. It's actually a cuesta. The southern slope means that the east to west sun movement keeps you in sun exposure. You've got a long enough growing season up top to grow corn, beans, and squash. That southern slope means that soil picked up in Arizona and New Mexico blows up here and builds up on that slope. It's very fertile. In some areas, It's a couple of inches deep. In some areas, it's deeper than I am tall. It can be up to 7 feet deep in some places. Good topsoil, good growing season. What's the limiting factor? Water. You think they got about that much water in a year? 18 inches or so. 10 of those come from snowmelt. The rest of that comes at this time of year when we get monsoonal systems coming in and dropping rain.
Did you have one last night?
Yes, ma'am. We will probably
We were
have one
driving
this
it.
afternoon or tonight.
Yeah.
And probably tomorrow and the next day. So folks, if you know what you're doing, 18 inches is more than enough. These people knew what they were doing. If they didn't, that wouldn't be here, quite frankly. In addition to the corn, beans, and squash, they were also raising turkeys. You get the meat, you get the eggs, you take the feathers and make a layered turkey feather jacket or blanket, which is going to be really nice when it's negative 17 out here. And you also get the turkey bone, which when filed to a point, will go through the leather of my hat band without a problem. It's a great tool to have. They also had dogs which were tame. They cut the long hair off and weave with that. I had a lot to work with, and they did wonderful things. Now, we're going to take a couple of questions, and then we're going to do a quick move to the middle of the site. I will give you this hint. The more questions I get, the longer you delay the inevitable of us going into the sunlight. So, who has lots of good questions? Anyone?
Yeah, what's the white paint on those squares?
The white paint on those is leftover original plastering. We're not sure though if it was an alignment with something at another point. Some people think it aligns with something in Sun Temple across the way. Ultimately, I never got to ask them, so I'm not entirely certain. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
My brother and I were wondering, are there bats in there? Is that what you hear? Is
No,
he falling
you are-
out or whatever?
No, not bats. You are hearing white-throated swallows and violet-green swifts that live up in the crevices here. We have had bats before, but they've only been in one site that I know of, the Longhouse, which is out on the other mesa. You see, the funny thing about bats, they don't really like us all that much, make way too much noise. So when we come tromping through, they're probably very unhappy and they won't live here for that reason. Other questions? Yes. Okay. Each person, men, you might live 35 to 40 on average. Ladies, 20 to 25 on average. Now I stress average. Because average means, yes, there were 60 and 70-year-old people living here. There are a lot of people that brought that number down. Men, you might live longer because very few men ever die in childbirth. Those that do are collateral damage. But childbirth will lower the life expectancy for women. Also, you've got disease. Happens everywhere. Sometimes you can heal it, sometimes you can't. You've also got accidents. We could be sitting here like we are right now, and a piece of sandstone could land on my head. Is it tragic? Yes, it is. Is it an accident? I really hope so. Am I still dead and at the age of 28 contributing to a general lowering of the male life expectancy? Yep. I'd be bringing that number down. Another problem, dental. They're grinding up their cornmeal on hard rocks, but those hard rocks still get worn down a little, so you get grit in the cornmeal. That grit's gonna wear your teeth away. The sugar in the corn's going to eat your teeth away. And oh yeah, has anybody here ever opened a pack of ketchup like that? You just used your teeth as a tool. These people are using their teeth as tools. They're cutting yucca fiber with it. They're cutting cotton string with it. They get cotton as a trade item from Canyon de Chelly down in Arizona. They're also maybe using them to open Gamble oak acorns or things like that. That's going to create wear and tear. Then you've got the grit, which is going to polish and wear your